Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carly Stevens. I'm a teacher and author, and this is English Nerd. It is September as of very recently, and so I thought I would do a video about some of the best autumn reads. Fall is the best time to be reading. It's good to be reading all year long, but there's a different vibe with autumn reading. There's something about the chilly wind and the pumpkins that just makes you want to sit back and really soak in some nice books. So here are some of my recommendations. Some of these will be new to the channel. Some of them are books that I've definitely recommended before. And I included 3 from my personal TBR, so I don't know if they're great, but I've heard pretty good things about them and they sound very autumny as well. So here is my autumn reading recommendation list. Okay, the first one is Pumpkinheads, which is a graphic novel by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. It's just charming. I read it the other day in just one sitting, and it's just so fallish. I mean, you can smell the smells, and they work in this pumpkin patch, and it's just absolutely charming. So if you haven't checked this out, then it is a great introduction to an autumn read. Next, and I'm going to be hopping all over the place here in terms of ages, the Redwall series, Like Mossflower by Brian Jacques. So if you grew up reading Redwall, it is time to revisit those books in the fall. I feel like they're not quite as good any other time, but there's something about reading these little warrior stories where they have feasts in the abbey and everything in the autumn that is just really special. So yes. All right, getting a little bit older now with YA stuff. The Raven Boys, The Raven Cycle. I've talked about this on the channel. I think this is just such a stellar series, and it is very fallish too. There's something weird about it. There's a Halloween kind of vibe that runs through the whole thing. It's a little bit spooky without going over that cliff, and so it just has this cozy yet unsettling vibe through the whole thing that is, again, just perfect for fall. So Maggie Stiefvater's Raven Cycle, I would highly recommend that you try, especially if you haven't before. The audiobook is good for this one as well. Okay, let's stick with Maggie for a sec. The Scorpio Races. The Scorpio Races, I did an entire unboxing of the special edition of the Scorpio Races because I am such a fan of this book. There is a race that happens on November 1st, and it is so atmospheric and so beautiful and so moving, and it's one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. So again, I would recommend Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. Okay, going to adult fantasy. I just did a video about the Lord of the Rings covers, and what better time to read Lord of the Rings than in the fall and then finish in the winter? Are you kidding me? It's perfect. And there's something about your patience, I think, that goes up in a way when the weather gets bad, and so you're more willing to sit back and really appreciate some of these descriptions. A lot of Lord of the Rings is not super fast-paced, but it's so beautiful and so worthwhile to make your way through it that if you have not read Lord of the Rings, then this might be the year to do it. You know, it's September 2022. As soon as the temperatures start dropping, just grab Lord of the Rings and enjoy. That's what I say. Okay, next I have The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This one, again, is a very atmospheric kind of book. It's not a fast-paced book. In fact, it took me a long time to get through just because there wasn't as much plot as I'm used to. But if you want to go to a night circus that has the smell of smoke and the taste of carameled apples, then this is a great choice for you. Honestly, and I don't know how Erin Morgenstern would feel about this, I feel like you almost don't need to read it cover to cover. You just can take little bites of it whenever you want to go into that fall environment and see a couple of shows, as it were. And you don't actually have to read it from beginning to end. You can just visit the place and then call it good. Okay, next one is another adult book, so I'm going from children's books to adult books. I'm all over the place. But this is, a good book is a good book. I stand by that. Next one is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. So if you like dark academia, if you like Shakespeare, if you like university settings and murder mysteries and that sort of thing, then If We Were Villains is definitely worth a shot. It is an elite college that is all about Shakespeare performance, and terrible, terrible things ensue. So if that sounds interesting to you, then this is another great fall read. All right, we're de-aging a bit again, so bear with me. I regret nothing, but this might not be like some of the lists you're used to seeing, which are more one age. This is just stuff that I love, regardless of who it's for. So, the Lockwood & Co. series. The Screaming Staircase is the first one by Jonathan Stroud, and this series absolutely captivated me when I first read it probably 2 years ago. Now, it's absolutely charming. It's creepy, again, without going over the line. It's technically middle grade, but it feels a little, if I were actually 11 or 12, this would freak me out, but I'm not, so it doesn't. But it's delightful. I love the characters, and it has that kind of spooky season vibe without being horror, which I appreciate. I'm not a big horror person. I might read some of it, but I definitely don't watch any. Okay, going to kids' books. Once again, The Wind in the Willows is one of those classics that if you haven't read, take the time to do it. Maybe you're in your 20s. Honestly, I think it's totally worth it. I didn't read Wind in the Willows for the first time until I was about 20, and I just enjoyed the heck out of it. It's so charming. It's kind of like Redwall in that it has the animal characters, and the vibes are just very fallish throughout. It's very season heavy. You get the passing of the seasons as time goes on. I love this copy, illustrated by Inga Moore. The text is not complete. I think it's a little bit abridged, but the illustrations are just unmatched, and I'm such a big fan of good illustrations. Okay, next. Yeah, you expected it. Larry T is a Hamlet retelling. Just came out recently, a little over a month ago, and it is a very fallish book as well. It's very dark. It's a little bit creepy and melancholy, but cozy. Just like what I like out of dark academia. You have the found family, you have the university setting, you have things going wrong. So kind of like the Raven Cycle and If We Were Villains, it's beautiful and comfy, but unsettling at the same time. So just a wonderful autumn read. It's fairly short as well, so if you're in a reading slump, then this is a great one to try and get you out of that slump, even if you're not familiar with Hamlet. I've had readers who don't know anything about Hamlet who really loved this book. And on to my TBR. I have 3 books that I am planning to read that I added to this list because I thought that they would be excellent additions to the autumn reads out there. The first one is Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. It's an early horror classic. I read The Haunting of Hill House last year, and I thought it was all right. I had kind of mixed feelings about it, to be honest, but We Have Always Lived in the Castle looks a little bit creepier, and I would enjoy that in September, October, November, Gilded by Marissa Meyer is the next one. It is darker than most of her other work. It's a fairy tale retelling, Rumpelstiltskin retelling, if I'm correct. And so I want to give that a shot. You might see it on my shelf back there. So yeah, I would like to read that. And then finally, Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I think that's her last name. Here's hoping. I've heard only good things about A Sorcery of Thorns, and so I'm just waiting for the mood to strike so that when the audiobook comes in, I can give it the thumbs up and begin reading that one. But in the middle of a couple other things right now. So that is the autumn reads list, from adult books to kids books and everything in between. Hopefully something here struck your fancy. If there was something on this list that you have not yet read, I challenge you to give it a shot. I mean, what could you lose in doing that? Even if it ends up not being your thing, try another one, because one of these is going to ring so true to you that it'll become a new favorite. So yeah, give these a shot. Add to the list what is on your autumn reads list. Make sure to subscribe, like this video if you like it, and I will see you very soon.